You don't have to be first to win, and that's especially true when it comes to supplements. Today we're going to be exploring different supplement categories where the current leader is definitely not the first brand to do something in that space. Hi, my name is Christian Baker. I'm the founder and CEO of Profound Formulas. I've been in the supplement industry for 16 years, including time with AG1 and GNC. And now I create supplements for companies that actually deliver results for their customers so they stay subscribed and keep coming back month after month. So today we're going to explore the Grüns category first. Now, Grüns, as you might know, I just mentioned I used to work for AG1. And it's right here, by the way. Grüns is an interesting category. So it's been around for a while, but its origins were definitely not this organized and this sexy. So in the beginning, Grüns was basically wheatgrass. So you get young wheatgrass. Because the grass is young, it doesn't actually have any gluten in it that is in the mature wheat. So just don't be scared of wheatgrass if you have a gluten issue. But gluten grass, wheatgrass and barley grass and alfalfa grass, so these young grasses of crops, are a very concentrated source of nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and chlorophyll, the rich green nutrient-dense base which makes them green. And these were actually fed to livestock to help boost their vitamin and mineral intake, and then eventually humans tried them out and realized they were really cool and convenient. And that's how they kind of started out. But if you've ever had them as a powder, they're not terrible, but they're not exactly something you want to look forward to. So they taste very green, as you would expect, and a little bit bitter and just very concentrated. And even if you dilute it, it's not a good idea. You just kind of want to get it done. Then there is spirulina and chlorella. So these are algal, like algae, based nutrients that were I discovered basically floating on top of a pond. I don't know who discovered that they want to try to actually consume them, but they're extremely concentrated sources of nutrients. Again, they absorb the sun and make chlorophyll as well, hence why they're green. They're extremely nutrient dense. They pack so many vitamins and minerals and even protein into every serving, but they taste so weird and so concentrated, and most people absolutely hate it. A lot of people have a friend who chugs, spirulina and chlorophyll and gets off on it like it's a point of pride. Same kind of person who loves ice baths and saunas. But it's not exactly something that's got mass market appeal, despite it being fantastic for you. From there, someone decided to put together some green things like wheatgrass, barley grass, spirulina, chlorella, algae, all these things, with basically a multivitamin. But instead of a tablet, you turn it into a powder. And this was the first all-in-one supplement. And the first one wasn't AG1. The first one was a company in Australia called Vital Greens. Still exists. The product is now called Vital Every Day because they've got a bigger range, so they want to diversify their naming a bit. They don't sell in the US. I'm pretty sure they never entered it. They sell in Australia, New Zealand, and I believe now the UK as well because they got acquired by a British pharma company. And the product is still pretty good, but they were the first ones to put everything together in one. And interestingly, it was in Sydney, Australia, where Chris, the founder of AG1, tried Vital Greens, which is one of the biggest inspirations for AG1, which used to be called Athletic Greens. So at the time, Chris was really run down and was getting prescribed a big personalized nutrition routine, which involved him taking 20 to 30 different tablets every day to try to fix his issues. And when he saw Vital Greens, he was like, wow, I can just kind of put everything into a scoop instead of following 20 or 30 pills. So, it didn't just magically happen from there, but that was a big part of his inspiration. Years later, he invents this, 2007, 2008, launches it in 2009. It blows up massively after 2010 when Tim Ferriss, who happens to be one of Chris's best friends, mentions it in The 4-Hour Body, his best-selling book. A ton of affiliates endorse it, and it just goes from strength to strength. Full disclosure, I used to work for the company for 5 years, from 2016 to 2021. And when I left in 2021, they had gone from scrappy startup to polished corporate with over 100 million a year in sales. Now they're on track for 600 million a year in sales. That's public knowledge. That's from the new CEO, Kat Cole, released those figures in an interview. That's crazy. From there, a guy called Chad Yanis, who founded the company called Grüns, drank some Grüns, he said, at his dad's house. I suspect it's probably AG1, but it could be a different one because there are so many competitors now and copycats. And he thought, wow, maybe I can make this more fun. And he personally loves eating candies. I think Sour Patch Kids, you know, those gummies. I think he likes the sour watermelon ones or something. And he would eat a pack every day. So he thought, why don't I put Grüns into a gummy? And gummies were an emerging format for supplements at the time. You could get them in, you know, biotin for hair, skin, and nails, apple cider vinegar for digestion. But there was no one really putting a lot of things into a gummy because when you make a gummy, you're quite restricted with space. Most of the gummy is basically the things holding it together, and a little bit is the vitamins. He managed to take something similar to this, not quite as much because it's hard to fit it, and he put it into a daily serving of 8 gummies, which is a lot. But he was betting on people being willing to take all 8 of them because they would enjoy the experience. You know, snack on the gummies like you're snacking on candies. Turns out he was right in a really big way, and after only 3 years of launching, they got acquired 2 months ago for $1.2 billion. So that's billion with a B. So good job to him. And the category just keeps evolving. You know, someone else is probably going to do Grüns differently next, and it'll probably keep going from there. So, you know, AG1 wasn't first, but it absolutely massively outperformed and outcompeted Vital Grüns. And Grüns definitely wasn't first, but their growth was multiples of AG1's growth to get from 0 to over 300 million a year in only 3 years is insane. So that's a good example of why you don't need to be first. You just need to do better, or in the case of Grüns, not even do it better, but just do it differently, do it more unique. Think about formats rather than just technical products, expertise. So really cool. And it's just going from strength to strength. Like you've got that brand that's copying these guys and basically just making it red instead, IM8. They've managed to do a ton of sales. So it just keeps getting bigger. This category is gigantic. So amazing. So that is the Grüns category. Next, we have the mushrooms category. So mushrooms, not say, you know, magic mushrooms, but mushrooms with therapeutic benefits, not in a psychedelic way, but in more of a, you know, nutrition giving way, have been used in traditional medicine for a long time. Chinese traditional medicine, Nordic traditional medicine, because a lot of mushrooms grow in the forests of Finland, Sweden, and Norway and places like that. And they typically were done in, you either just get the mushrooms and hope that the person picking them knows what they're doing, or you get them concentrated by themselves. But there was never any real, you know, interesting way of doing it. But people would take chaga mushroom for their immune system, or just as like a base to mix other things with, or as a substitute for coffee, or a substitute for even caffeine to an extent, even though it has no stimulatory effect, but it was just like something to scratch the itch. People would use lion's mane for energy and a non-stimulant kind of energy effect. Cordyceps was an interesting one. Also kind of like physical energy, but all these were done in isolation in different regions of the world and not really done in a cool and compact way. And then Four Sigmatic, the Finnish company, managed to put it together in really cool single serving sachets, and then they even mixed it with coffee to try to prove that you can put it with coffee, give you a better effect by having less coffee but putting mushrooms as well. And they really launched with a bang. They were on Tim Ferriss's podcast. They got retail distribution. They moved their operations from Finland to the US. And they were kind of everywhere for a while. But now you barely hear anything about them. But along came MUD Water and basically made it way sexier, had way better branding, just really cool product. They've got straight up just mushrooms as a coffee substitute, but they've also got coffee with mushrooms as well. Now they're absolutely killing it. They're doing, their main product line is I think 4,000 or 5,000 units a month on Amazon, and amongst all their products, much more than that. Then came along RYZE, RYZE, and they've just gone stratospheric. They're doing over 60,000 units a month on Amazon for their core product, and they've got crazy good retail distribution. So not just like health food stores and supplement stores, but they're in Target. They're everywhere. So they have just taken this category, elevated it to a new level. And again, they weren't first. They just did it better and more aggressively. And to a large extent, didn't really even change much. Just made it look better and did better marketing and got distribution. So again, mushroom category and continues to go from strength to strength. New people discover it all the time. Really cool. Moving on to category 3, third and final category, probiotics. So traditionally probiotics were consumed, they were discovered kind of by accident in fermented foods. So, if you've got a grandma from Eastern Europe or East Asia, ask them about fermenting sauerkraut, fermenting cabbage to make sauerkraut, fermenting different types of cabbage to make kimchi, basically fermenting vegetables. You would do this out of a necessity because unlike today's supermarkets where we can get anything we want, back in the day, you could only get something that was local and seasonal. Not because you were a hipster, but because it just didn't exist. So for the cold months, you would have to eat what you've got that you picked in the warmer months and put into a jar to preserve it. But during this natural preservation process, good bacteria started to breed and accidentally introduced positive gut health benefits to these foods. Now, from there was fermented dairy, yogurt being an obvious one, but other cultures have different ones too, such as kefir from the Middle East. And again, these were great sources of probiotics, but no one really thought about putting it into like some kind of organized product beyond, say, yogurt. But then probiotics got isolated and put into capsules, and you would see these at health food stores, pharmacies, and different things like that. Normally in a dark glass bottle, usually with an ugly label, and usually only reserved for people recovering from severe stomach flus and illnesses, or if the doctor was smart enough, they would prescribe it for people who were coming off a course of antibiotics to help restore the population of good bacteria that got destroyed as well. However, this category, while it was growing, like all supplement categories, no one was really doing it thoughtfully and really crazy. It's just kind of a bit niche. But then more and more brands have jumped in. But one brand who's elevated it to a new level is these guys, Seed. So they took what was already well known, which is the probiotic. This is good bacteria, obviously good biotics bacteria. And they paired it with prebiotics. Prebiotics is a fancy word for special types of fiber, because fiber is something that you can't digest. It passes through your gut, not fully digested. Therefore, it provides a food source for good bacteria, and they can multiply and flourish. And if you put prebiotics with probiotics, you get a synergistic effect where they both work better. And this brand basically coined the term, or popularized the term, synbiotic, which sounds even fancier and more scientific. But all it is that you have prebiotics and probiotics working in synergy to create a synbiotic. They did a ton of research and studies before they even launched the product. They had to put a ton of money into that, obviously. And really cool thing, they incorporated the sciencey style of things into their product design. So it's not just a random clear capsule filled with probiotics. It's a double capsule. So there's an outer capsule, which is dark green. And this outer capsule is made from prebiotic fiber. So it supplies the fiber the good bacteria need. Then inside there is another capsule, and inside that capsule, you get the probiotics. So not only are you giving people the fiber, which is the prebiotic, but you're also helping protect the probiotics a little bit further as well with this extra capsule, so they're more likely to make it all the way to your intestines where they can do their job. So this is really cool, really thoughtful. They were definitely not first. They were very late to the party, and now they're absolutely dominating, doing a ton of sales, helping people all over the world with gut issues, skin issues, mood, all the things that can happen when you help improve gut health. So there you have it. You don't need to be first. There are plenty of opportunities to do things better, do things differently. This industry is nuts. It just keeps growing. It's a goldmine. So there's plenty of room to try different and new things. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you on the next one.